Assalamu alaikum and good morning. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Super excited about our lineup.
Yes, I really can't wait. There is so much to get through this morning, so I'm super excited as well.
So we have Mustafa Ali in the studio with our very important Holy Quran recitation with the ayahs from Surah Furqan.
Oh, his recitations are so beautiful, mashallah. I really look forward to those. And straight after that, we have brother Ibrahim Ansari on the couch with daily du'as, which include beautiful recitations and explanations. So do stay tuned in. And today is one of my favorites, ziyarat of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him.
Peace be upon him. We also have psychotherapist Bilal Ali, who's dropping by to discuss food and your mood.
Vital. So then we're much looking forward to that, inshallah. Lots to learn. Speaking of food, we also have Sister Fahima and Sana in the kitchen with a great healthy date and milk smoothie.
Right. That's.
Do you think they'll share with us?
That's the Ramadan special, I think. The date and milk smoothie.
Let's see.
Anyway, we also have your fiqh questions and queries answered by Sayyid Mohsin Shah. And the subject today is fishing. So it is interesting, trust me. So we're looking forward to that, inshallah. So for competition details, we're going to go directly to Mustafa Al-Khatib for more details. Stay tuned.
The holy city of Karbala is home to tragedies, heartbreak, as well as treasures and wonders. Millions from around the world come to this sacred city with their prayers and tears. As well as being home to Imam Hussein Media Group, it's the home and resting place of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his brother, Abu Fadhil Abbas alayhum as-salam. Imam Hussein sacrificed his life for the sake of truth and preservation of the religion and teachings of his grandfather, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Imam Baraka says, order our Shia to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, since doing so increases sustenance, extends life, removes evil, and that visiting the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is a duty upon every believer who believes in Imamate from Allah Almighty. So we invite you to come to Karbala and come to visit your Imam and perform ziyarah. Unfortunately, not everyone can come visit Imam Hussein. Not everyone has the ability or opportunity to visit regularly, and that's why Morning Baraka is giving you the opportunity to perform ziyarah from your very homes. We want you to send in your du'as and names of your loved ones so we can recite the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam on their behalf. Maybe you have a loved one whose name you want to put forward, a marhum who would benefit, or maybe you miss Karbala and yearn to see Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him. Why not send a small message or a dua for us to read here in the holy city of Karbala? Whoever's name you put, whatever dua or small message you have, the Morning Baraka team will pass it on to our team here in Karbala, and we will recite the ziyarah, read the message, and broadcast it on Imam Hussein TV3. Send in your names, du'as, and small messages to Morning Baraka at @imamhussein.tv, or message us or leave a comment on any of our social media platforms. We look forward to hearing from you, and may Allah and the Ahlul Bayt accept all of our a'mal and our ziyarah, inshallah.
Yes, and welcome back to another episode of Morning Barakah. To kick off today's episode, of course, we are joined by Mustafa Ali for his beautiful recitations of the Holy Quran. Once again, Assalamu alaikum, Mustafa.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, thanks.
Excellent. You're going to be enlightening us with Surah Al-Furqan today, and I believe verses 71 to 77?
Yes, inshallah.
Brilliant. So please, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن تاب وعمل صالحا فإنه يتوب إلى الله والذين لا يشهدون الزور وإذا مروا باللغو مروا كراما والذين إذا ذكروا بآيات ربهم لم يخروا عليها صما وعميانا والذين يقولون ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما أولئك يجزون الغرفة بما صبروا ويلقون فيها تحية وسلاما خالدين فيها حسنت مستقرا ومقاما قل ما يعبأ بكم ربي لولا دعاؤكم فقد كذبتم فسوف يكون لزاما صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Many thanks for your time, Mustafa Al Ali, for that beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. We are now the episode of Daily Dua.
Yeah.
And this particular episode, or this particular actually segment, is where we uncover some of the jewels within our literature. And this is the ziyaras or the du'as or the supplications, something that we can offer which is a bit different. People don't really know much about these ziyaras and
No,
du'as.
and even if you recite them, you often find, not everyone who's a native Arab speaker will actually look in the meaning, and it's beautiful to get the interpretation of someone that recites the du'as and their perspective. So,
and our expert in this field
Yeah.
is Ibrahim Al-Ansari. Assalamu alaikum, Ibrahim. How are you?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
welcome, Ken.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me once again.
Absolute pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Today's particular dua, or ziyarah actually, I've put an underline on Mondays, because it's the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam on Mondays. So I'd love to find out more about, number one, why is it Ziyarah Imam Hussein on the Monday? So we'll delve into the particular days of the week where certain ziyarahs are recommended to be recited. So yeah, walk us through the ziyarah of Imam Hussein on Mondays.
So, of course, every day of the week just belongs to one of the infallibles, one or two. Monday, for example, it is referred to as Ziyarat Imam al-Hassan. However, it is for both Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein.
Okay.
And you realize that towards the end, where the ziyarah then turns into talking towards Imam Hussein as well, and talking to both of them.
Is that the whole ziyarah?
Yeah, what we have in front of us is actually the whole ziyarah for the ziyarah of Monday.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Yeah, it's quite short, simple, not too long. something that can be recited to start off your day. And I think a very beautiful way to start off the day is by actually talking to the Ma'sumin, as at the end of the day, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are there to aid us and they are there to help us throughout the day.
Definitely. Would you like to start with the ziyarah so we can have a bit of a...
Definitely.
Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا ابن سيدة نساء العالمين أشهد أنك أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وعبدت الله مخلصا وجاهدت في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاك اليقين فعليك السلام مني ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار وعلى آل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين أنا يا مولاي مولا لك ولآل بيتك سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم مؤمن بسركم وجهركم وظاهركم وباطنكم لعن الله أعداءكم من الأولين والآخرين وأنا أبرأ إلى الله تعالى منهم يا مولاي يا أبا محمد يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله هذا يوم الاثنين وهو يومكما وباسمكما وأنا فيه ضيفكما فأضيفاني وأحسنا ضيافتي فنعم من استضيف به أنتما وأنا فيه من جواركما فأجيراني فإنكما مأموران بالضيافة والإجارة فصلى الله عليكما وآلكما الطيبين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you so much. Very beautiful.
Thank you. جزاكم الله خير.
I have to say it's my favourite part of the morning to be able to start the day listening to your voice and
So tell us how does the ziyarah starts and then end? Because I think within the Arabic it started off as one person or speaking to one person, and then it included two people. So how did it work?
So at the start, it was directly talking to Imam al-Hassan alayhi afdal salatu wassalam. But also at the same time, it is in a way funny where we can actually also link it to Imam Hussein, because everything mentioned at the very start until the names are actually mentioned actually belong to both of them. Whereas you make it seem as if you're directing it at one person. Only after does it then say Ya Mawlaya Aba Muhammad, it's focusing on Imam al-Hassan, and then says Ya Mawlaya Aba Abdullah, Imam al-Hussein. So the very first part, although our minds usually go to Imam al-Hassan alone, whereas we can actually link it to Imam al-Hussein too. And in that way, for the ziyarah is actually talking to both of them, but individually at the same time. So that is basically how it works. Then it moves to actually talking to the Imams, Ya Mawlaya Aba Muhammad, Ya Mawlaya Aba Abdullah. Today is the day of Monday, and it is your day. The yo is for both of you. Yawmukuma. This is your day. Wabismikuma, and in your name. And I am here as a guest. I have
والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا أمير المؤمنين وأبناءه المعصومين حجج الله صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين الفاتحة مع الصلوات
ويا باب نجاة الأم يا حسين.
Hassan alone, whereas we can actually link it to Imam Hussein too. And in that way, for the ziyarah is actually talking to both of them, but individually at the same time. So that is basically how it works.
Right.
Then it moves to actually talking to the Imams. Ya Mawlaya Aba Muhammad, Ya Mawlaya Aba Abdullah. Today is the day of Monday, and it is your day. The your is for both of you. Yawmukuma. This is your day. Wabismikuma, and in your name. And I am here as a guest. I have come to you on this Monday as a guest. So it is picturing the ziyarah as if it is their house, let's say, as if Monday is their house, and we are coming here as a guest. And then he says, so welcome me.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very beautiful part of the ziyarah, where it is actually, where you're actually asking the Imams to welcome you, to bring you in. And you are the best of those who have welcomed anyone.
Yeah, it even says, make me feel at home.
Yes.
It's a spiritual
Definitely.
dimension, isn't it? It's not saying obviously physically you're sat at home reciting, but if your heart is in this dua and ziyarah, you will be thinking about actually what would it be like to be speaking to them directly and not to have a barrier of where we are physically constrained. So, and I guess that's the welcoming, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And the other part, it's there's a specific part in the ziyarah where people might actually look at it as rude. So some people try to make it seem as if it's a rude part, which is why you tell the imam, you have been ordered to welcome me. No, it is not rude at all. It is you telling the imam, oh imam, I am here. You have taken yourself down. Please take me in. So first you're asking, please take me in. Then you tell him, you have been ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take me in. And then what do you say? And you are the best of those who do so. So in any way, as this thing, I don't know, it seems as if it's an illness within specific people, where even within the Shia sect themselves, where they try to belittle the imam, where they try to find the smallest word to actually take away from the status, to make it seem as if the way we talk towards the imams, or in fact, since the ziyarahs are all from the imams themselves, to say that even the imams couldn't speak. And hasha lahum, that they could not actually speak in a proper manner, because their akhlaq is always on top.
Absolutely, they are the guides. I mean, what my mind, as you were saying that, was that they are created to guide mankind, and I think we shouldn't look at them as not in this world. They are alive. They are more alive than we are. And to say that when you go to the harams and their shrines, it's visiting as though we're visiting them. So to say that actually Allah has given you that ability to still guide me in this time, even though physically I may not be able to see that imam. But I guess that's where what you're saying is that, you know, Allah has given them that authority to give that guidance. So please give that guidance to me.
Definitely.
I mean, that's not rude.
It's within our rights to ask for that guidance.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
Sorry?
It's within our rights to ask for that guidance.
No, most definitely.
Definitely, I would agree. Yeah.
I mean, of course, we have to make that effort, but since we've made the effort, and these imams are the most the most generous of people to be able to give comfort and ease in times of our trials.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't why would it be an issue if they have been assigned? They've been assigned to be a mercy towards us all.
Definitely.
So if we're taking that one step, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite wisdom, we take one step towards Him, He takes 10 steps towards us, and then of course the imams are gonna have a bit of those qualities, won't they?
Most definitely. And in a lot of the du'as or ziyaras, we actually say, and aid me, take me away from shirk and dhalala. So this is, as you said, I don't like to say it's their job, but this is what they have been assigned to do, as you beautifully said, that they have been sent after the Prophet to carry on this message, to make sure that, because in every asr, in every zaman, in every time, there is an imam to actually help us. Of course, we have our imam who is not present today, but we can look towards him as well. Oh Imam Mahdi, come and aid us. On Mondays is the house of Imam Hassan and Hussein. Welcome me into this day and aid me throughout this day.
You know, I mean, they are the children of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you think, you know, I often think about him, and you know, out of all the prophets, how much mercy. He never once turned his back to his people, and he never will till the day of judgment. And yet, how much he was tortured and, you know, troubled by the people that were around him. And I'm sure we don't, you know, justify as Muslims to behave in the best that we can. But his akhlaq was always on point, wasn't it? And I think, you know, when you turn to them, and his children are, you know, continuing his message. So it's not. It's like you said, it's our right to be. Who would we turn to if we didn't have their mercy? If we didn't have
they will
Allah's
never
mercy?
turn anyone away.
No.
That's the beautiful thing.
Exactly.
And you said about the Prophet, keeping in mind that we have a saying that says, "Ma udhiya nabiyka ma udhit."
Exactly.
No prophet has been has had hardships or has been tortured in the way that you have.
No.
So and then for them to still welcome you, for them to still bring you in, and for them to still show you the maximum amount of mercy, where they truly show the mercy of Allah, but in this world through a human being.
Brilliant. Just in the last couple of minutes, and again, I know that most of the ziyaras and the du'as can be found in Mafatih al-Janan. Is this one the same?
Yes, definitely. In fact, there's a section in Mafatih al-Janan so it starts off with the Quran, and then it goes on to the du'as of the day. And then so every day has a specific dua as well. And then there's another section which is the ziyaras of the imams of the infallible, during the days. So you'll find the ziyara on Sunday, the ziyara on Monday, the ziyara on Tuesday.
Each of the infallibles have a specific ziyara for each of the days.
Yes.
But this one, although it's a ziyara of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, it still combines Imam Hussein.
Yes, because of course we mention Abu Abdullah. So Monday it says Yawmukuma, both of you, wa bismikuma, in both of your names.
However, the title is Imam Hassan.
The title is usually refers to Imam Hassan, and in fact there's another ziyara within that section that is solely just Imam Hassan. It doesn't actually include Imam Hussein as well.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, we have Monday morning blues, so this is a beautiful way to start the day. And bless your week ahead, isn't it? So
Exactly.
Brilliant.
thank you so much. That was really
Thank you very much.
enlightening.
Jazakumullah khair.
Yeah,
inshallah
brilliant.
we'll hear you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you very much.
for your time, Ibrahim, as Zahra is mentioning. And Zahra, going to be seeing you again after the break.
Yep.
As your adventure continues with
Brother Bilal, yep.
In the specialist segment. So keep an eye out for that after the break.
Grab a cup of tea.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt's peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy, and many more, and aim to bring the public's attention to the righteous Islamic sect, Shia Islam. Our ultimate goal as a media group is to convey the interpretations of the Holy Quran as well as the traditions and knowledge of the Holy Prophet and his progeny, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon them. Our objectives are to protect and safeguard the Shia youth from the destructive impact of immoral ideologies, standing up against injustice by documenting the oppression of Shia across the globe, as well as encouraging peace and unity amongst the Muslims. To reach our aims and serve the Muslim Ummah, we require a budget that would cover all the expenses for our productions, allowing us to work on different projects. Imam Hussein Media Group is a crowd-funded project. We have no sales nor do we charge for our services. We solely rely on monthly payments, financial contributions, donations, religious alms, and generous gifts. The expenses of each production varies depending on the type of project and the style of filming. There are many elements to a production that requires time and capital. The producer must analyze the costs of the venue hire, equipment, transport, feature fees, set design, staff support, and further additional costs. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, narrated, "The best of people is he from whom people benefit." It is up to you to help the Muslim Ummah come together and help guide the youth in remaining on the correct path of Islam. To take part in this global conquest and to spread the message of Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him, please visit www.imamhussein3.tv or give us a call on +44 0203 515 0199. You can also contact us via WhatsApp, Telegram, SMS, or even email us on donate@imamhussein.tv. Let's work together hand in hand to elevate the faith of our Shia youth today.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Hope you've had a nice little short break and had a cup of tea. The daily du'as are very refreshing, and so now we're going to talk more with our specialist. It's Brother Bilal Ali. I was going to call you doctor there, but Brother Bilal Ali, thank you so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this morning?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well.
Good. So this morning's topic we're going to discuss about is our relationship with food and how it affects our mood, the benefits of sort of giving ourselves a positive image towards it, our attitude towards it, and how it will perhaps pick us up, or it can even do the opposite effect, can't it? So what is your in your experience in this field, your various courses you've done, what would you say is the most I think, concerning issue that we have in this current era about, towards food, because we have such a growth in processed food, haven't we now, and pesticides with fruits, and there are all sorts. So what would be your sort of most concerning?
It's funny because as much as my experiences in my clinic and on the mental health circuit, I'm still always informed by the saying of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about being aware of your intake of food, because many diseases or many illnesses, something along this line, start from the stomach. And it's quite profound that not just the physical, but even the psychological plays up or manifests itself in terms of people's diet. So a lot of overeating, obesity, and people's unhealthy relationships with food are oftentimes a manifestation of a psychological problem. Comfort eating, eating to cope, eating beyond, what's necessary is really what we're talking about.
Do you think so? A lot of us on a Friday night, I just want pizza, I just want something, just a downtime before eating healthy in the week, and just want something. Is that quite detrimental to our physical health, or is one-off sort of having a treat where we see a treat as something that's high in fat, processed? Is that quite a negative thing on?
No, I wouldn't say so. As I said, I'm not a dietitian, but I'm a qualified personal trainer, and I do have weight loss management knowledge or experience or qualification, so to speak. And so, the occasional break from the healthy regime is not going to cause any major problems. It's when there isn't a break, because it's not a break away from a healthy diet, but it's more like, I had something healthy today as a one-off, but the other meals throughout the week are the more unhealthy, more high in sugar, low in nutritional value, low in micro and macronutrients. That's when we get into more problems.
So it's the relationship we have with food then.
And it can be under eating as well. There's a variety of ways that we can, what's going on the psychological level can play out on our plate, if I can put it that way.
So let's look into what would be a healthy relationship with food. That we've all been raised in different ways from different parents from all over the world, and that becomes our habit. So what we instill in our children, what we've been growing up with, and then what's perhaps sort of the extremes. So I was just thinking more of anorexia, bulimia. They're all relationships with food, and how does that tie in? So if we start with sort of a healthy attitude towards food, what would you say? What does, like you said, it's an interesting point that I've been good, so I'm going to treat myself. But then it's when if that good becomes sort of just the minority, it needs to be a regular thing, doesn't it? Yeah,
well, the essentially we need fats, a certain portion of fats, say like a minority of fats. There's such a big debate about how much fats is healthy for us, but fats are healthy in terms of your non-processed. So there's an obsession to cut the fat off the chicken and take the skin off and all things of this nature. But more recent scientific breakthroughs are showing that our bodies process those type of fats. We've been doing it for millennia, and so we're able to do that without there being a problem. Some of the issues that came up in the food game, if I can put it like that, is that there was this thing about fats being the devil. Fats were evil. Fats were terrible. So everything became low fat. But to make the food have flavor and have body, they had to pump it with carbs. Now, carbohydrates. Now, if you don't use up a certain amount of carbohydrates, what happens is your body it turns into glucose, sugar. Your body stores it, and that's where the obesity has gone through the roof. So a healthy relationship with food is more to do with eating natural foods as much as possible. Your vegetables.
Which oils would you recommend?
Olive oils, coconut oils are highly recommended. There are some oils that are healthy if you drizzle them on your food, vegetable oils, for example. But it's sunflower oil. But it's when you fry with particular oils, they say that there's a kind of carcinogenic or cancer-causing agent. They transform them. The heat transforms them. So coconut oil is one of the most, let's say, preferable oils to cook. To use to actually fry with. That it doesn't have that effect. It doesn't change its configuration chemically in that negative way.
And so in terms of a balanced diet, you have sort of a healthy relationship with food would be to eat more natural, not the processed foods, because we have a lot of E numbers in our food.
Less processed is better. A healthy portion of carbohydrates, preferably like your brown rice, but rice in general. But say for example, brown rice, pasta, or even bread, even but whole meal is always going to be better. So a certain amount of carbohydrate, starch in your foods, sweet potatoes, things like this. Then a portion of meat or fish if that's your preference. If you're vegan, you can still get a healthy intake of protein through your pulses, your chickpeas, and the like. And so you got your protein, you got a healthy portion of carbohydrates, and also fats as well. If animal fats are fine, cream, milk. Or even if you're vegan or more, you eat less meat, then things like avocados and nuts, hazelnuts, walnuts, whatever.
Are they all quite healthy to sort of feed children and sort of develop that healthy attitude towards food from a young age? Is that advisable?
Yes, because the biggest relationship or the biggest issue is a psychological element. In terms of our relationship with the fridge. And do we eat out of comfort? Do we eat out of boredom? Do we eat out of being habitual? Do we not eat out of there being a psychological problem? Because we I don't know if we mentioned anorexia or bulimia. Like say for example, these are psychological conditions, and they're often triggered by trauma. Right. Or being unable to cope with certain major life events. Sometimes people have been victims of abuse, or there's some type of self-loathing taking place. Something may have happened to a person where they felt like they were in a situation where they didn't have any control. Yes. So by them being very particular about their food,
that gives them
what they eat, when they eat, how much they eat. Yeah. That's them regaining control over themselves, or it might be because they are self-loathing, they feel unworthy, so it's about them being punitive with themselves. Are they finding themselves having to mislead others? But children are known for this because it's it kind of develops kind of in early puberty for some people around that age. Our teachers and caregivers and people who guardians aware that children may try and avoid, did you eat your dinner, and throwing food away, or there's I had something earlier on, and this type of thing. It's not straight away if a child's done that. It means I'm not suggesting that's a diagnosis, but these little telltale signs of them avoiding food, avoid eating with others, avoiding maybe sharing for everybody. It's different culturally, the etiquette of giving others first, but when you notice that person isn't eating at all, and are they do they appear a little bit underweight? Are they trying to conceal and be deceptive about their problematic relationship? Bulimia is more to do with eating but then purging, inducing, vomiting to bring the food back up. And the irony is that it doesn't necessarily work anyway, because once you've consumed the food, those nutrients are now kind of entered into the system. So it doesn't always work, but it can cause these ulcers in the stomach and different problems. I mean, and people can actually die from anorexia, as they can die from obesity. Two different extremes, but in terms of unhealthy relationships. But there's usually, essentially, telling us something. These are like symptoms of. This is like the iceberg that we see, but there's a deeper psychological, emotional problem under the surface that needs to be addressed. So try to not chastise or be punitive towards that person who has that problem.
Could be, if it's somebody themselves that they're going through something like this, if it's a parent that recognises it in their child, or siblings, whoever we recognise, friends, what would be, as a practitioner, what would you advise people what to do with that situation with a person that they may recognise has certain unhealthy attitude towards food?
I'd say there's various national mental health charities that are online that have websites with a lot of information. For example, Mind is a national charity. They have very credible information online about things of this nature. You can always go on the NHS website, but if you go online, there's like I said, organisations where you can call up and speak to somebody to get further advice. Because it's one thing reading an article; it'll put you in the know, or watching a short YouTube video on the NHS website. So that'll give you some basic understanding. But you may want to phone a number and speak to somebody.
And there are people available.
Exactly, there are people that you can speak to say, I have this concern about this particular family member, and how can I move this forward? How can I kind of get them help?
Because I think one of the things that people wouldn't want to do is become highly emotive and panic, or cause more distress to the person that perhaps already is suffering in some sort of capacity that's causing this sort of unhealthy relationship, and you wouldn't want to say the wrong thing to trigger anything else in them. So so that's really helpful to know about sort of helplines that can actually guide you how best to, what next steps to take and everything. So, any final points you'd like to raise?
Yeah, I would say if you have concerns, well, oftentimes people are aware about themselves in terms of their relationship with food and their food addiction. And there's nothing that can beat natural foods, and that as we hear all the time, that we should avoid these processed foods that are high in sugar.
Yeah.
And everybody wants a biscuit, a bit of chocolate. There's no problem, but avoiding that being the mainstay or the bigger portion of your daily food intake is from these foods that are high in sugars that causes these rushes and these highs of energy and whatever, and then these crashes, because then it is like a kind of addiction, like with these other nefarious substances, but it plays out in that kind of way.
And any final points about E-numbers and things like that are present in our food, and sort of any concerns about the effect of the chemicals in our body?
Well, we were speaking about earlier, there is an actual crisp that is on sale in the high street that has a particular chemical in it that lights up various neurons and has a particular effect on our brain activity. And it does induce an addictive or compulsive behavioral trait with that crisp. So it's like once you have one, you feel like you need another and another, and it's actually something. So I think we need to do some. We need a Muslim organization to commission some research. What a beautiful dawah could that be if we were to research some of these E-numbers and maybe produce produce some information about the inherent dangers in some of these chemicals in a processed food.
I mean, imagine that we freely hand these out to young people and children, saying, "Oh, just have a crisp or just have this," and you don't know what you're feeding them. So it's always better to be natural, isn't it? And
isn't it something to say that though? It's not just halal, but they say tayyib, that the food must be pure, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's food that isn't got anything haram in it necessarily, but it's not pure food. It's saturated or low in nutritional value.
And it's always the most delicious, I have to say. Thank you so much once again. We've come to the end of this morning's segment. So inshallah, you have a blessed day, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next morning episode of The Specialist. And so next up, we are going to be joined by Fahima and Sana, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to be making for us. Over to the kitchen.
Caught for raping English girls. Remember? You're here defending the paedophile. I'm here defending your dad. Women are here defending the paedophile. You're here defending.
We don't need a TV channel because we've got mosques.
We have Islamic centres that are always open.
We have schools teaching Islam.
Hijab is part of a school uniform.
Islam has come and it's established here in the West.
And everyone's happy. They love us, our food, our fashion,
our culture.
The media is always on our side.
We've got plenty of English speakers, plenty of English books,
and plenty of places to go and learn in the English language.
Let's be real.
Let's get active. Be more involved. www.imamhusseinfree.tv.
Thank you, Zahra. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Morning Baraka, and in this segment we're going to be discussing health and nutrition with my guest Sana. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So after the last recipe, I'm really excited as to what you've got for us today.
Yeah, so today we're going to be making a date and almond milk smoothie.
Okay, interesting. I don't think I've had that combination before.
No, I mean, it's a bit different because we're going to be replacing the normal cow's milk with some almond milk.
Okay.
But it is very tasty and it's very quick and easy to prepare.
Why would you choose almond milk?
So I would choose almond milk if, for example, you have any intolerances.
Okay.
There's some children or even adults that have dairy allergies, and so they would replace with either almond milk or coconut milk. I kind of alternate, I'll mix. Sometimes I would use coconut milk, sometimes I'll use almond milk. Both, it's very tasty, and with this one, the almond milk just goes really well.
Okay, so talk us through what you're going to do now.
So what I'm going to do first is we're going to put all the ingredients in here. I'm going to take a cup of dates.
Dates is amazing. At the end of the day, we know that our Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family used to open his fast with dates, and it's also a really good substitute if you have a sweet tooth but you want something healthy.
Yeah.
It's got so many nutrients in there, and you know, to be honest, it's a great ingredient to use generally. And to use this in a smoothie, I think it's really healthy. Almonds on its own, from what I know, is also very, very rich in calcium, and it has, especially the milk, it's good for your bones, and it actually, you know, can really help with your easing of the smoothie, because it's not the normal, like really thick cow's milk that we would normally have as well.
Exactly, and it's also good for your digestive system as
Absolutely.
well. So if you feel a bit bloated, it can help with that too. And also there are different types of dates that you can use. The ones that I usually use is the sukari dates. They're very sweet. They're really gooey, and you would leave them in the fridge. But I find that they do kind of help with this smoothie. And also you can use the ones that they use for the date cookies.
Yes.
They're really, really sticky, and they're really small. So you can get those from any kind of local
there's so
Middle
many
Eastern
different
shop.
types of dates. It's very difficult to know. So it's all trial and error.
It is,
as to what your taste buds, you know, prefer.
Exactly,
But these ones, what did you call that again?
The sukari.
Sukari dates.
Yes.
Okay.
And usually you would find them in the fridge because they need to be refrigerated.
And I know that with smoothies, most people, you know, will do that as a quick meal. But this one, you can prepare the night before, and you can use it.
You can, yes.
The following day.
Exactly. So, for example, if you know you're going to be going to work really early, or college, or school, or university, you can make it the night before, keep it in the fridge, and then in the morning just grab it, and it can be like a food breakfast. Exactly. So it will fill you up, and it will give you an energy and boost for, you know, until lunchtime, really.
We don't realize how much options we can have to make our lives healthy, but still, you know, just taking a little bit of thought as to the ingredients we use, as well as, you know, using like a smoothie, because I would like to have something healthy in the morning to start the day. And it is also narrated that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said that we should have, like, you know, our full meals in order to build our bodies for sustenance and to have us, you know, perform throughout the day. So we shouldn't really skip meals, and we know that even as studies have shown, skipping meals, you know, when we think that we're going to be lethargic, we don't have the, you know, the drive to actually do any work. These sort of, you know, ingredients and this sort of recipes can really help boost us throughout the day, and to start this way is extremely important.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess when you get into that regular kind of routine and habit, it becomes normal. And it isn't difficult at all. If you've got a blender, you can just kind of add whatever you want and mix it up. True.
But I think this blend is really, really, really different, and I would love to see how you continue with this.
Yeah, so...
so you've just pitted the dates?
Yes, I've just put a couple of dates. You can put less, more.
Okay.
I think this is enough for the amount we're going to do.
So is that for one person, do you think, that amount of dates?
It would make a big kind of cup. We'll see the cup we're going to put it in now. I mean, it depends. If you drink a lot, it might be, it'll be enough. If you don't drink that much,
it will last just longer.
Exactly, it might be a bit too much. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a cup of, it's unsweetened, roasted almond milk, which is good because the dates are already sweet, so we don't need...
I was just going to say, you don't want to make it too overly sweet.
Exactly.
And it's good that we don't even need any sugars or any other, you know, other stuff in there.
Exactly, yeah. Now, if you're not used to almond milk, so spitting it a bit, it might be a different taste for you, but it is something that you would just get used to.
How would you describe the different taste between normal milk and almond milk?
With the almond milk, you can taste the almonds.
Okay.
You can actually taste it, so it gives it that nutty taste, which is really nice. And also, we're going to be adding peanut butter in there as well.
Oh wow, peanut butter! It's very, very high calorie content. So just be careful how much you would use if you are, you know, watching your diet there. So the thing is, people don't understand is that, you know, when they want to be healthy, it's not about not using ingredients, but it's the amount.
Exactly.
Because I know a lot of people that are like, I eat healthy. But I'm like, how much are you eating of that? Because, you know, they'll have like a whole bowl of nuts and that's their lunch, but actually you only need a handful. Because it's really, really important to understand the foods that you're eating, how much calories, because a lot of these things that are healthy, it has got high content of calories, for example, or some fat, just to fill you up, to give you that boost and that energy, but we need to know the amount that's needed per person.
Exactly.
And, you know, something like this, it has got high calories, so you need to be careful as to how much you're going to use in that.
It does, and again, it's full of protein as well.
Yes.
So children or adults who don't have that, get that protein from other sources of food, it's a good way to kind of top them up, so they're making sure they're getting the right, balance of what they need. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of this in there. Again, it's something you can reduce if you would like. Or put a little bit more. It's up to you, depending on how you feel.
I don't normally have peanut butter, but I think, when you're mixing some of these ingredients together, you can have the benefits without realizing that you're going to have it individually. And if you don't have that particular taste for it, you wouldn't really be able to tell it in something like this, which I think is a really smart, clever way, especially even for children, teenagers who are studying, who are, wanting to, boost their immune system as well as give them the energy levels and help them. And like I mentioned before, like, our brain, our body, our organs, it all needs to have that maintenance in order to improve. Just like a car, you've got to service it constantly. You've got to, for it to, serve you well. So we need to be more aware of our food so that we can actually live much more healthier lives. And our well-being is so important. Like, again, I work with people's minds, but I take a lot of interest in our foods because I think it's a combination to have that healthy mind and body.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, this is amazing that you've come up with this. So let's see, are we going to blend it now? Or is there anything else to
No,
put
we're
in?
going to add 1 banana.
Okay, I always want to eat banana, but I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I always get the chance and just having it on its own. So this is a really good addition to it as well.
It is. Again, if your children don't like to eat these things, blending it up is a good way to kind of trick them. Because they don't realise what's actually in it.
Absolutely.
So, and it tastes really nice.
So with that one, you would use half or whole? How many are you using?
I'm going to use a whole banana in here because I'm going to make it...
That's really filling ingredients in there, actually.
It's very filling, yeah.
Amazing.
Like I said, it could be a substitute for a meal.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so we have in there everything, the peanut butter, the dates, and the almond milk. I'm just going to put that away.
And we've got the bananas.
Okay.
And even bananas is quite sweet on its own as well, to be fair. So
exactly, yeah.
You don't really need any extra sugars.
Just give it a jiggle. Right. Make sure it's nice
Make sure that's really tight on top. We don't really want anything to spill
Exactly. We don't want any accidents.
I can tell why you use those dates as well, because it's actually soft and it's easier to blend.
Exactly, and you can see the beautiful colours that have come through the milkshake.
It looks like chocolate chips, really.
Exactly, another way to trick younger children. Now let's have a look to see if that's all done. Again, you can use ice in this if you want it to be cool.
Of course.
Summer, yes. Exactly. Right, so I'm just gonna...
Do you think that normally smoothies can be a bit too, I find it too thick, or do you think you could add more milk to it with the consistency?
You can. So I'm gonna have a look at this.
Even some water?
You could do, yes. I'm gonna have a look and see how thick it is because I've put quite a few things in there.
Yeah.
And again...
Because, I mean, it's a personal choice really as to how your consistency is, as to what you like.
Exactly. So
that seems quite okay.
It's okay, but I will add a little bit more milk in there because I think it could do with just a little bit more. Again, you will kind of figure out with your own eye measurements.
Absolutely.
So that's probably about a tablespoon and a half extra.
Okay.
I'm going to just go and blend that again.
You know, another factor we don't really take into consideration, as we mentioned before, as you reminded me by you still wearing your gloves, is the health and hygiene.
Yeah.
When we're preparing food, even in the house, we take it for granted that, we're always clean. But you know what, it's so important, even Islamically, we have to always take extra care, especially in the kitchen, because we don't realize when you're mixing the ingredients and, taking from one to the other, and to teach our children in that way.
Exactly, yes, definitely.
And there's so many hadith as well that even shows and says about how we need to, eat. How we need to even, basically when we're actually chewing and to be, quiet as possible and to be respectful. The etiquette and manners are so important. And even though the show is health and nutrition, I think it works hand in hand with the way in which we need to perform and behave, whether we're in our homes or in public, and it starts from the home.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's really important that we consider that, especially, I want to bring this up because, for our audience's sake, so that it's a quick reminder, and for the young as well, that, when we are representing our beliefs and whatever it may be, it comes from religion. It's the fact that our manners and our etiquette, it does come through with how in which we need to be every day, and also everyone around us is comfortable sitting with us, and we can be proud because this is the way, what we believe in, and this is how we practice, and we're representing that.
Exactly, and again, like you were saying, it's a good way to introduce your children into cleanliness and the nadafa min iman, so they start teaching them that in school, in Arabic school, if they do go, or if you do that at home.
Practice at home.
Get them to do it and explain to them, okay, why do we need to wash our hands? Why do we need to do this? And it becomes a fun activity. So they're learning through kind of play in a way. So it's also a great thing. So I'm just going to go and blend this up again.
Go ahead.
A loud noise again.
You know, I would normally, if I was to add some liquid to it, I wouldn't blend it again. So do you suggest for a smoothie, if you're going to add some liquid or anything else afterwards, like especially liquid, would you blend it again, or would you just mix it normally?
I do, but that's just me.
Because I feel it's just going to make it thick again.
I know, yeah, I know what you, well, let's have a look, like you said. Right. I guess I like to make sure it's all blended in nicely.
Okay, yeah.
And that you don't have bits of it at the top.
Fair enough, yeah, so that's quite handy, yeah, no, of course.
So let's have a go and see.
Wow.
So the colours are just so beautiful and just a mixture of...
Absolutely. Actually, that's a fair amount, and that's actually would last me probably like through breakfast and maybe a bit of lunch.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, if you've got younger children, they can have a little bit of this.
Yeah. So you can share it amongst them.
You can share it, yeah, exactly. Or reduce the banana if you find it's a bit too thick.
Yes.
Instead of doing a whole banana, do half and maybe reduce the dates as well.
Okay.
So there are different ways. There's no right or wrong way of doing it.
Of course.
You can just trial and error.
Definitely.
But this is the way I do it. And obviously you can kind of take it into your own hands and see.
Okay,
right,
now, is it ready for me to try?
Yes, it's ready for me to try.
Okay, let me just see. Okay. I can taste a lot of banana in there, and I can taste the peanut butter.
So not a great thing if you're not a peanut butter fan, or you could take the peanut butter element out.
It's really nice. It's lovely. Obviously, I took a while because obviously to
I know, yeah.
up the straw, and it's quite a little bit thick than normal, but no, I love it. Thank you.
And again, you can add ice into it. In fact, if you do add ice, it will make it a lot thinner.
Yes, because of the water in there.
Exactly, yes.
No, that's really lovely, Sana. Thank you so much
You're
for that.
welcome.
That's amazing. So what other sort of ingredients, other than, you know, this particular one for smoothies, would you actually recommend?
So I would use, same milk, but I would use banana and strawberry. That's really nice. And it's quick and easy.
Yes, of course, you get different flavours, milks.
Exactly, yes. So you can, especially for children,
really nice.
the banana and the strawberry, a lot of the yogurts that they make for children are around those flavours, so children tend to like that. And put in almond and substitute the normal cow's milk for almond or coconut milk. Try it with them.
Amazing.
See how they take to it. They might not even notice. So, and it's also a lot healthier than the cow's milk. So it's good to introduce different things to children.
It's good to have the variety. And like I said, these are such good nutrients that we're going to, you know, include in our diet. So it's amazing.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for sharing. And inshallah, we'll be back with more recipes on Morning Baraka. Over to you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
نه قوت در کمر دارم ابوالفضل علم دارم.
The hadith is Sharif Ma'soom Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given my uncle Abbas a maqam such that on the day of judgment all the shuhada and the siddiqeen will wish they had the maqam of Abul Fadhil. And the Imam did not leave an exception for anyone within the kawn. The exception that we know is Ahlul Bayt through Ahkam Aqli.
In any case, we're back to the miscellaneous subjects that we love to discuss. It's essentially subjects that are more or less swept under the rug when it comes to the main Islamic dialogues and discussions in the community. And we're this time joined by Sayyid Mohsin Shah. Assalamu alaikum,
Alaikum
Sayyid.
assalam wa rahmatullah wa
How are you doing? You okay?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome.
Inshallah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And today's discussion is interesting because in the UK, this is quite a predominant issue within politics, as well as the British society life as well. It's more or less about hunting or specifically fishing, for example.
Yes.
And a lot of people take it for granted as fishing as being just a recreational thing that they'll do. But actually, is there an Islamic perspective on fishing, and then to a wider extent hunting? I'm not sure of any Muslims in the community that actually go hunting, but perhaps it could be. Actually, it definitely fishing. I know it definitely is an issue. But yeah, fishing.
And
what do you think, Zahra?
Yeah, no, and actually the aspect of UK law, for instance, how does that impact fishing? You can't just go and pick any fish and think, oh, I think trout has some sort of limitation.
Are they preserved?
I think so. I'm not. I can't say for sure, but I know there was a fish I was hoping to get from the.
So tell us.
It was not something you could actually go and get.
Yeah, so fishing and hunting, essentially for sport.
Yes.
Is it allowed or not?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. According to the laws of Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, Hafadullah, our Grand Marja, hunting for other than food is not allowed, especially if it's bringing harm to an animal. So in this country, there's always been an issue with fox hunting.
Exactly.
I myself, I'm not a supporter, and I think it's actually really, really inhumane. So for something like that, it's not allowed in Islam. So what about fishing? Because fishing is also a sport. We know a lot of people that go fishing, they'll catch the fish and they'll throw it back into the water.
Yeah.
This is not allowed, simply because this is, number one, play, and also that this is you're causing harm for no reason whatsoever. There's no real purpose for you for actually trying to catch that fish.
It's animal cruelty, really, isn't it?
Indeed it is.
Unless you're eating
unless it's for eating, you're not allowed to do that whatsoever. When actually catching the fish, now, you know, what fish is halal and which is haram, you know, we don't actually slaughter fish. So how does it actually work? The fish you're allowed to eat is the fish that was alive in the water, and when you take it out, it dies.
Okay.
That fish is halal. If it's damaged a little bit, but it was alive when you took it out of the water, it's halal. It's allowed.
Right.
If the fish was dead in the water, so a lot of people want to throw in dynamite, as we see sometimes people cheat that, and it kills the fish and it rise to the haram. You can't eat that fish.
Really?
So the fish that die in the water, haram. You're not allowed to eat that. They have to be alive when you extract it from the water. And that fish is deemed halal.
What if certain fish was contaminated? Not that, obviously, if you eat that fish, something's going to bad happen to you, but what if the fish that was brought out is alive, but it's contaminated with some sort of substance? You can clean it off or not clean it off, or maybe just risk it, not risk it. What happens then?
That's fine. I mean,
would you risk it?
I wouldn't, I know I wouldn't, but like, if a bit of dirt, for example, I don't know, something.
I mean, you know, we hope that there's nothing inside of the fish.
Yeah, you
I
don't
mean,
know.
If you,
exactly.
you don't know. I mean, when you cook the fish and you open it and you can see the meat. Now, if that meat is contaminated or it's gone off, or this fish unfortunately has been poisoned or something, then obviously you don't really.
Please don't eat it.
I will.
I think the Japanese are quite famous for having certain delicacies where the fish is very, very poisonous. And you have to cook it in a certain way to
cut it in a certain way.
I was going to say, actually, sushi things, you know, you get the sushi plates, but you don't actually know the origin of that fish, do you? So what would you say about eating things like that?
Well, wouldn't they tell you if it's, for example, salmon or shrimp or
I would assume.
I actually never look, I just look at the sushi
cod
and think.
or trout or something like that, right?
Going towards that, okay, so one issue is with sushi is the meat cooked or not cooked. I mean, there's no really Islamic law to tell you to, you know, cook fish or not cook fish. You know, if it's edible and it's not going to cause you any harm, then
you're allowed to eat
so be it. Of course, you're allowed to eat it. With sushi, there are certain fish which majority of the Maraja have this ruling that you only eat fish with scales. Okay, so you know your cod, your haddock, trout, salmon.
I'm a big fish eater,
pescatarian over there.
I like my fish.
Yeah, I'm a tilapia fan myself.
Tilapia.
So yeah, these fishes are allowed to be eaten.
Okay, so let's just go back a bit. Okay, fish without scales that are actually halal. So, for example, things like shrimp.
So, people would assume that, well, not people don't assume, people do categorize shrimp and prawns as shellfish. They put them in the same category as crab and lobster. In further investigation, we see that this prawns and shrimp, they don't actually have a shell. It's actually scales that they have.
Oh.
Yeah, so what we assume to be a shell and what we say and identify that this is the shell of this shrimp is not actually a shell, like a hard shell that we have on crab and lobsters. It's actually thin like a scale. So the Maraja have deemed this to be scales. And that's why you are allowed to consume shrimp and prawns, which are quite tasty actually.
Yeah, of
I do say so myself.
What if we were saying that in terms of losing its scales, because sometimes some fish will lose their scales. They might give birth to fish without any scales.
Indeed, according to Sayyid Sadiq, Hafidhullah, he says that if the fish had a scale, and this species of fish has scales originally, and then lost the scales, that fish is still deemed halal. It is still allowed to be consumed. And if with this condition it has offspring that also don't have scales, because maybe it's genetically in hereditary, what you call it, passed on disease, you can eat that as well. That's not an issue. So if it had scales and it was removed, or they've lost the scales, that's fine. You can still eat the fish. And if that fish has offspring with the same condition, you are allowed to eat that fish as well. It's not a problem.
Oh,
that's really interesting. Actually, I think I don't know how many people actually, because it's a very good source of protein and health benefits, aren't there? Is that why you have it, or is it something you just prefer to eat a lot of? Fish.
Good question. Because I'm. It's funny because I have this conversation with colleagues at work, and my diet is very limited to either vegetables, cheese, or fish.
Wow.
So when I go to a local Tesco or I go to a local retailer, there's not much I can get. And because fish is halal and it's a bit of a meat alternative, I'd often use that. But I think within culture, it plays a massive role. I think there must be some hadith here and there that mentions fish to be something that's recommended to eat. I know within Iraqi culture on Wednesday, is for me fish day. So I know that on Wednesday I'm going to have fish.
I think here in England as well, Friday is fish and chips. So
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
every Friday you'll see canteens give fish and chips. But in terms of hadith, I mean, we have loads of hadith that encourage healthy diet, and fish being one of those.
Is it?
It's very,
do they actually name fish? But it's fish by name, right?
Pardon?
Samak, and they'll actually say fish by name.
I don't know. I haven't read it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I haven't come across the hadith.
I'm sure it is.
Possibly. I haven't come across the hadith like that.
Yes. I have to say the Iraq fish is just one of the best.
Yeah, mezgoof.
I don't know. I think masala fish has a very, very
I don't know.
competing stance.
No, because I keep getting told, if you go to Baghdad, there's a certain place, and they pull it out, you choose it, and they'll barbecue it. And
the process is really, really cool because, as I was saying, you get to actually choose the fish that you want to eat. So when they do it, but that's when it gets a bit barbaric because I've actually seen them smash their heads in.
So they don't take it out, let it die?
No, they take it out, they let it kind of just wiggle around for a bit and then they'll just...
So even when I go to the fishmonger here, I have to say to them, remove the head and tail because I don't want to be cooking eyes in the oven. I just can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, I can't
That's
do it.
one of the delicacies.
No, I'll pass them on to you.
No, not eye, as in, for example, the head of the fish.
Yeah, the head, no.
But there's a lot of benefits to fish brain.
Oh, apparently. No, I can't. That's just I'd rather just think it's a bit of protein, and if you think it actually visualize it.
The tail is amazing.
No way.
The tail, the head. If you just, the thing is, what I like about fish, especially if it's grilled and there's loads of oil. That's what I was saying. It's great because there's certain parts of the head. If you get it right and you extract it properly, then it's really, really nice. It's unbelievable.
I think it's a man thing. I don't know, but that's really interesting actually. That because I think a lot of people, we know about the scales, but I actually didn't personally know that if they sort of genetically change, modify, then they lose their scales. I didn't think that species, but that's actually permissible. So it's an interesting conversation to have, to know that this is what the law says.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, that's a great point you make. And actually, there's a question from Jalal in Manchester who was saying, I'm a keen fisherman. because I think Manchester is quite close to a place called Lake District,
Yes.
which has a lot of fishing outlets there. I'm a keen fisherman and go once a month to fish in local rivers and lakes. I'm not sure about the rules of fishing and what sort of fish I'm allowed to eat. Can you give me a simple format to follow? I think you did kind of touch upon the fact that you can't fish for sport because you're causing harm to the fish, but you can fish to eat. Can you delve into that a bit more? Because a lot of people, it's a recreation for them, but they're not really seeing it as harming them because they're just taking it out and then they're not dead and then just putting it back in.
The other thing is, I understand that. The other thing is that this is considered play, and there's no real benefit to what you're doing. Unless you're technically practicing for hunting. And then you keep the kill that you've actually hunted.
But what about the people that do fishing for tranquility, peace? That's a kind of a place where people can actually go and switch off. It's quite mindless, isn't it?
As a form of meditation, you mean?
Not necessarily meditation, but
just to find some peace.
Yeah, exactly. People kind of
Yeah.
The lake is nice, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, but you're still causing harm to the fish. You're taking
means to an end.
You're technically playing with their life. You take them out. How would you feel? How would you like it if someone strangled you and you couldn't breathe, and then they let you go and you can breathe again, and then strangled you, and it was, I'll find peace and tranquility in this.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, we've got to think about it as well.
That is quite a example.
No, it's true. If someone lured you with a bit of meat, and then you're like, oh, what's this?
But our purpose isn't created to be fed. They're animals that you're saying, obviously, unless it's to eat, we can't fish. But that's their purpose in a way.
Yeah, but they still have.
It's not like us being strangled.
They still have rights.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. I'm not saying rights, they don't, but
we shouldn't be playing with life like this.
No, but what you're saying in terms of finding peace and tranquility, you can find peace and tranquility. You can sit on the boat and lake, or you can sit on the lake. It's fine. You don't actually have to physically bring a fish out.
Or
you could just mimic the act, like.
Indeed.
So you have your son sat there, say, sorry, you can't pick the fish.
For Jalal, I'll say, Jalal, just keep all the fish that you catch and sell them or eat them.
Yeah, keep them in
Mm.
the freezer.
Yeah.
But then he would say, which type of fish can I?
Well,
then
like we said, depending on the margin you follow, majority of the margin say fish with scales.
Yeah.
So
pick your fish.
Mr. Fadhil here has a whole list that he can tell us, about the fish. But yeah, salmon is very healthy. Apparently, he says
it's unbelievable.
A fish that swims upstream.
Now it's good time as well for salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been fishing? You're not going now.
No, I'm not going now.
It's all gone.
So it's actually haram then.
Yeah.
Wow. Because someone asked me to go fishing one time. I wanted to, but then I thought I didn't get the time. But actually thinking about it, maybe it's
unless it's for eating, not allowed.
Yeah. Well,
wow. Okay.
I think that's
no fishing for you, Ali.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end.
No worries.
The conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, is that fishing for sport is haram. All types of fish with scales is halal to eat, according to most maraji', and I'm not allowed to fish.
No.
That was the main conclusion there, is that I'm not allowed to fish.
Oh, and dead fish in the water do not touch.
Dead fish in the water do not touch as well. So we'll leave on that note. Zahra, any last words?
No. Have a great day.
Saeed, really appreciate your time once again.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you on the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV and Morning Baraka. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices by His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi Hafadullah. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah, and joining me, as always, Sheikh Ali Maash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, khair.
MashaAllah. Sheikhna, our last discussion was in regards to Salah and prayer. Let's kick off this discussion on Qadha prayers and what is considered to be Qadha. What is Qadha prayer?
Inshallah. A'udhu billah as-sami' al-alim min ash-shaytan ar-rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Initially, the Salah itself is the pillar of faith and religion. As-Salat Amud ad-Din. And the importance of Salah is so much emphasized in the hadith and narration that the shafa'ah of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam would rely on the one who offers the prayers. Without the prayers, there's no shafa'ah. لا تنال شفاعتنا مستخف بصلاته. The one who takes the salah lightly and doesn't praise often on time, and he doesn't actually pray the salah as prescribed, then he may not get the shafa'ah. So that's important, that the salah we don't really let her off and allow it to become qada and try to make it up later, especially with intention, deliberate letting off the salah to become qada. And that's, of course, by itself is a sin, that I don't wake up for the Salat al-Fajr intentionally. I know that I'm not going to wake up because I'm sleeping at 3 o'clock at night after watching, I don't know, movies or football matches and so forth. And I just leave the Salah to become qada and then make it up later. However, there's there's some issues with regard to the one who wants to offer the Salah qada. Initially, there's a hadith عن Abi Ja'far al-Baqir alayhi salam with regard to what can be done as qada and what we have to leave aside. He says, لا تعاد الصلاة إلا من خمس. There are 5 things in which you have to make the salah up again later and do the qada. Otherwise, the rest you don't need. Number 1, at-tahur, which means the wudu. You must have wudu in order to be able to perform the salah. Otherwise, without tahara, without having the wudu, you cannot start the prayers. Now, intentionally or unintentionally. In both cases, the salah is batil. There's no way you can offer the salah without having the right means of wudu and the means of tahur. So that's not the first condition.
So what you're saying is that if you prayed salah, but for some reason later on you discovered that, oh, I didn't have wudu, I wasn't tahir, so you can pray qadha prayer for that prayer. That's okay.
Of course, you have to do wudu and then pray either ada inside the time, if you can catch with the time. Otherwise, you have to pray qadha because you missed one of the most important conditions of salah, and that is purity and tahara, and that is wudu, in other words, or tayammum if you can't do wudu. So that's the main important, the first one. The second, al-qibla. The Imam says, Salamullah alayhi, al-qibla, that you must make sure you pray towards the qibla and not the opposite side. Again, if you pray opposite side, then and even intentionally to the right or the left side, intentionally, then the salah is batil. You have to pray towards the qibla as prescribed. So in this case, either you repeat the salah inside the time or you do the qada, make up later. The third one is the ruku'. As mentioned previously in the previous seasons, that the ruku' is rukun.
Yes.
That you must fulfill, and you cannot add 2 rak'ah, 2 ruku', in other words. Otherwise, the salah will be batil, or if you don't do the ruku' by itself, the salah is batil. So anything added or subtracted from the salah with regard to the ruku', the salah is batil. Was-sujud, the Imam says, alayhi salam. Again, the two sajdah counted as rukun and the main elements. If you miss the two sajdah for any reason, the salah is batil, and you have to again do the ada inside the time or qada and make it up later. Of course, in another narration, it mentions the other three conditions: at-takbira wal-niyya wal-qiyam.
Yes, that's part of the rukn. Yes.
Allahu Akbar. To open the salah, you must say Allahu Akbar, otherwise you cannot enter the salah without takbiratul ihram. So that's also a rukun and main element of the salah. And intention, niyyah, of course, you must make the intention that this is a salah seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qurbatan ila Allah ta'ala. So important as well. And qiyam before, when you stand in the salah, you must be upright and perform the salah, the alhamd, the surah, and so forth. These are the arkan, or the main elements, as mentioned previously in previous seasons. So these are the most important aspects in which, if they were not fulfilled and performed in the salah, you must repeat the salah either inside the time or qada by making up the salah later afterwards. With regard to your question about the qada, if the one does not perform the salah as prescribed in its time, let's say Salatul Fajr, between the dawn and the sunrise, if you don't pray between this time, just before the sunrise, then the salah becomes qada. In other words, you missed the timetable, you missed the time prescribed for the salah, then you have to do the qada afterwards.
It's like an IOU.
Exactly. You have to, pay back in somehow this salah, and either ada or qada, and somehow you must perform the salah. You cannot run away just because you didn't do it, then khalas, just ignore it and just walk away with it. And of course, even if somebody, let's say he works at night and he comes back in the early morning, he sleeps all day till the evening, and he misses Salat al-Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha, let's say. So the Dhuhr Asr is missed, now is qada. Maghrib Isha, he can pray it during the night, that's fine. In this case, he must pray qada, Dhuhr and Asr. Also, he slept, he couldn't wake up for any reason, extremely tired, but he must make it up. There's no way he can run away from it. So qada is there in order to fulfill this obligatory act which you missed inside its time. Of course, with regard to the qada, there are two exceptions for those who do not require to do the qada and to make it up later. It's mainly for the woman. The woman who is in her monthly cycle, whatever the days are, she doesn't need to do the qada afterwards. She's exempted from the qada of the salah. And the one who gives birth, the minute she gives birth, those few days afterwards, in which she is in her state, after giving birth, she doesn't have to do the qada later on and make it up. So two exemptions and exceptions for women in which they don't need the qada.
Ahsant, mashallah. Shaykhna, in what order should we pray the salah?
In terms of the salah order, if we missed one salah, then we just have to do it straight away, whenever we can. Let's say if I miss Salat al-Subh, if I wake up in the morning, let's say 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, I go to the washroom and do the wudu and straight pray the missed prayer. Otherwise, I have time during the day, after or before Salat al-Dhuhr and Asr. The time is open, but the sooner the better to make up the missed salah. However, if somebody has many days of salah in which needs to be performed as qada, they can either start from the early morning salah, which is the salat al-fajr, dhuhr, asr and maghrib, isha, or the recommended one, which is the best and the better, is to start from dhuhr and asr salah. So let's say you have 3 days of salah you missed, you couldn't pray. So you begin from dhuhr, asr of that day, maghrib, isha of that day, and then the morning, fajr, and so on. So the second option is the best option.
I believe it's because the first prayer that was mandatory upon the Muslims was the dhuhr prayer. So I think that's why it is recommended to start with dhuhr rather than start with fajr, which is more of our daily routine. Shaykhna, I'm an individual that has qada prayers and it is time for dhuhr and asr. Which salah takes precedent, as in like which is more important for me to fulfill? The prayer of the time or the qada prayer?
Well, initially, it is not mandatory to begin first the salah which you missed. Let's say you missed a couple of salah sessions, salah, fajr, dhuhr, asr, and so forth, and you want to start now maghrib, isha. It's not compulsory that you must first do the qada of these two prayers and then engage with yourself with the current salah, which is now adhan, maghrib and isha, for example. However, if you missed, let's say, salat fajr, subh, and now you want to pray salat dhuhr and asr, some ulama would emphasize on the fact that you must first pray salat fajr qada, and then you start with your current salah, which is dhuhr asr, for example. However, the Sayyid, he says that as a mustahab precaution, that you first start with the fajr qada first, you do the one you missed today, for today of course, and then you start with the dhuhr asr. And likewise, if you missed dhuhr asr salah and you want to start